right. So we are live. Welcome to the School Marketing Show Live. My name is Kristen, and as always, I'm joined by the brilliant Mia. So if you haven't been with us before for the School Marketing Show Live, really here at Finalsite, professional development and education are a huge piece of our culture. So the show is just a way for us to keep our schools and districts around the world in the know about best practices around marketing, communications, admissions, advancement, you name it, we cover it. So each episode, we just hop into the ins and outs of school and district marketing and communication strategies just for a quick 15 or 20 minutes. We chose this live Q&A format just so you can let us know what you would like to learn about each week. So please make use of the comments, whether you're watching live or recorded later. Let us know what you're interested in learning in, and we'll be sure to cover it. So last episode, we chatted about inbound marketing. We talked about what it is, why it's important, and what your school or district can really do to make the most of inbound and really span your content across your entire funnel. Now, one important piece of inbound marketing is social media. And really, aside from regularly posting, and we talk about cadences often and having a good presence, one often forgotten component about social media really is that direct engagement piece. So today we are talking about comments. It's a very popular topic that we get on our end. So if you ever find yourself really not knowing what to do with the comments on your school or district social media account, stop what you're doing and join us for the next few minutes, and we'll just chat about what you can do. So first and foremost, I think the biggest question is, should we be responding to comments? And I would say the golden rule is to, yes, always respond. Really, in today's world, families really expect immediacy and instant gratification. It's just kind of where we've led with the nature of social media. So if you do want just a statistic to go behind it, 83% of people expect companies to respond to social media comments within 24 hours or less. So in this case, we're talking all types of content. We're talking questions, positive comments, negative comments, even just, congratulations, or, just a really quick comment. Everyone expects some sort of acknowledgement, and that's what they like to see on social media. So going in with that mindset, that'll really hop into today's topic about really what you can do with both positive and negative comments. So first and foremost, should you respond to positive comments? And again, that answer is yes. I think one common thing that we hear is, if someone's happy, why would I need to respond to something like congratulations or great job or, hey, that's my kid, I'm excited to see my children, in this post. I think it's very important just to think, social media etiquette 101. So the platform is social, and conversations really shouldn't feel one-sided. So imagine if someone came up to you and said congratulations and you just turned around and walked away. That's basically what it's like when you don't respond to comments. You really should be thinking about them on that personal level. So especially even on platforms like Facebook, your parents spend a lot of time on those networks, but even today we're talking Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, if you're there, any comments anywhere are the most important areas to make sure that you're engaging with your community. So that's important just from a personable level. You want your community to see that you're engaging with them. You want them to feel like they're acknowledged. But even on a second piece of that, it can really have a good impact on your organic reach. So if someone is, researching your school, seeing that you are actively engaging with families on positive comments, that's still great to see that you're not just on there to try to, reputation manage. So it's important to respond to positive comments. It's something that if you can get into the habit of it, you'll really see your engagement grow on social media. Now, the tough piece of it is negative comments. So this is probably one of the most common questions we receive when we're talking about social media management, especially today. There's so much uncertainty, and you're no doubt going to see, some more concerned families on social media and everything. So it's important to think about this. It inevitably happens if you have an unhappy family or even an unhappy student. Something negative may end up on one of your social media accounts. So what do you do? I think that's probably the biggest, question we get. I would say step one, and this is for the most part, don't delete these comments. I think if the user notices that their comment was deleted and it really was an important issue to discuss, even if you did take it offline, don't delete the comment, because that could just open up a whole other area for that user to either get upset or other people see that that comment was deleted and it just doesn't look good in the moment. So for the most part, don't delete them. There are exceptions to this, of course. So if the content or the comment, contains inappropriate content or it comes in violation of your policies, then absolutely you can take away those comments. I would say report the user first before deleting the comments. So just report it, note to Facebook why you're deleting it. And if you really want to take it a step further so that you can really cover all your bases, I would say you could actually privately message that person, let them know why their comment is being deleted, and ask them if there's anything that you can help with. I think first seeing if that's a member of your school community, obviously if it's someone who's randomly coming to your channel to spam, then you can just go ahead and delete it. But if it is a member of your community and you did fact check that, make sure that you still reach out to them before deleting their comment. Now, step 2, and this is where it can really help you out in terms of streamlining how you handle comments like this. I would recommend to establish a template of just bucketed answers that your team, or even you if you're a one-person team, can reference when responding to negative comments. So let's say, for example, that someone maybe had a negative experience at your school with their child. Their child came home, they had a negative experience, and that parent goes to social media to kind of express that concern. I would say if you have your template set up, you can have something as simple as, hi, first name, we're so sorry to learn about, information about the experience. Here at our school, we strive to provide the best possible experience. Our head of school is going to be reaching out to you directly, or conversely, you could say, please privately message us, or we will privately message you, and we will try to help find a solution. So a few boxes you should check here. First, try to be as personable as possible. Let them know that their comment was read. First, make sure if you're reading the situation, figure out if it's true or not. If you're aware of the situation already, that can help you even further, privately message them and help find a solution. But in the comment itself, you can be as personable but still unspecific as possible. So acknowledge that you read it, but then say that you'll take it offline. So what this will do for you is, one, show everyone else that you responded and that you care. So that's important from, a current family perspective and a prospective family perspective. That is very difficult to say, prospective family perspective. So if someone's, researching your school or district, that they can see that you handle these situations in a proper way. So from that perspective, that's great. Second, it can also let the concerned party, if it's a family or even a student, know that you're willing to help and that, you're here, you listen to them. It gives them that acknowledgement that they're looking for. And then third, it's taking the conversation offline so it doesn't affect your social media account further. So one thing you want to make sure you don't do here is just open up a forum to have this entire conversation directly in the comments section. I think the best thing you can do here is take it offline and just acknowledge in the comments that you're going to do that. So I know that that's a lot to take in. I think it's super important, both positive and negative comments. If you do have that templated document of answers, that'll really help you just kind of copy and paste, edit it a little bit to make it personable, and it will help you so much out in the long run. So now, taking all of this into consideration, I'll pass it over to Mia. I think one thing that you'll probably think if you're working on this is time management. How do we handle all of that? So Mia, take it away.
Yeah, I think even before COVID-19 and the pandemic and changing reopening plans and changing learning plans and, the fear of a case on campus and schools closing already again, our schools and districts found it hard to find time to respond to comments before that. Like, they didn't have the time to respond to the much fewer comments they were getting. And now what we're seeing is just an overpouring amount of comments, questions, concerns, messages, both a combination of negativity and positivity every single day on all of their social channels. I think you made a really valid point. Like, we're not just talking about Facebook here. We're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If people are saying things on LinkedIn, maybe even if you manage a TikTok, I mean, there are so many avenues on social media for people to take to be negative or positive. And I think it's really easy to go down that path and go down a hole where you just spend your entire day responding and mitigating comments. So I think a huge piece of the time management is just having those templates in place, a policy in place, and a plan in place. You should have a designated list of people that you can, refer people to, and they're not going, like, as a communications person, as a marketing person, it's not going to be your resolve to it's not your job to resolve every single problem that arises. You have heads of school, you have superintendents, principals, you have counselors, you have nurses, you have different directors. So I just think that, using social media as that platform to kind of say, okay, we're kind of the front lines, but we're going to pass this along, and kind of our main role as a marketing communications person is just to be the front lines and pass this along. It doesn't mean it's always our job to have to respond in this case. So one huge piece of time management, not thinking you have to do everything. Second is really just dedicate a part of your day to responding to those comments. It can be the beginning of the day, it can be the end of the day, it can be at lunch. Depending on how many comments your school or district sees on a regular basis, just set aside, anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour. I think that just depending on the size of your school, the size of your district, what's happening right now, that could look different for everyone. But just blocking off time on your calendar every single day to answer those comments, you kind of give that 24-hour span, which is when people expect to get a response from you anyways. I don't think many people are taking to Facebook or Instagram, to get that an immediate response. I will say Twitter is somewhat the outlier in the sense of people see Twitter as the customer service platform. So when people are tweeting at you directly, they might be wanting more of an immediate response there. So if you are someone who manages all of your social media accounts, maybe just keeping a closer eye on Twitter, or at least turning on those inbox notifications, or using a social media platform tool like Hootsuite to kind of just manage all of those mentions in one place. You can kind of see if something is taking your Twitter feed by storm. Other than that, really just designating that time block every single day. It's a great thing to do with your morning cup of coffee or tea. It's kind of just a nice way to, I don't want to say nice way to start your day if your comments are negative, but I feel like it's a nice way to like unpack from the day before and just kind of get it out of the way for the day, because it's really easy to continue to push it off as the day goes on. We don't want to leave those people unresponded. The other important part of time management is, while during this time, it's important to set aside, anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour each day to respond to comments. If you are in the middle of an actual crisis, or if something is actively changing at your school, you definitely need to adapt your strategies and respond more on the fly. I know that is really hard for our small teams, but another thing that you can do in terms of your time management is try to just create a central place to redirect people to. And you can always pin that as a post on your page as well. So, go to the FAQ page on our website and read all of our questions here before you come and ask them on our page. We've already answered, 50 or 100 of them here. So there are some other tools that you can have in place, and that can be part of your canned responses that you have as, hey, we addressed this question on our FAQ page here. You don't always have to answer it there. And that way you can kind of teach people to go back to the website. Aside from time management, a huge problem that our districts in particular face, and I know many of our independent schools face this as well, are these like other Facebook groups. So not only are you having to manage comments on your own Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter, maybe even your LinkedIn, you're also having to keep an eye on comments that are happening inside like friends of school district name, or just the name of the town itself. And people are in there talking poorly or positively about teachers, about their thoughts about your reopening plans, about, there was a case in someone's classroom and they didn't close the classroom, and now they're worried that their kid is sick, and all the moms in the group are just like feeding off of it. And that can be a really toxic place to allow conversations to happen, because there is a lot of negative feelings right now that are kind of just coming to the surface on the internet in a lot of different ways. So rather than investing your time and your effort and honestly your sanity into becoming a piece of those negative conversations that might be happening in a group, please enlist your parent ambassadors, your student ambassadors, your PTA, into being your advocates in that group who will post positively about your community on those threads. So simply your job as a marketing communications person shouldn't, maybe you could be monitoring that group, but I really would be encouraging you to use your PTA or your ambassadors to be managing those groups and encouraging them to respond. If you see that you have, let's say, you have ambassadors, you have a PTA, and they're, not keeping an eye on the group, maybe just make reference to check the group once a week and then send them an email and say, hey, like I noticed that there was this thread in a group. Would you be able to post positively in there about our school? I think groups, the content is a little less timely. I think people will go in there and look for an opinion, or they might have a thought, or they might have a question. And I don't think they often need that same immediate gratification because they're looking to a group of peers rather than the institution itself. So I think they're a little bit more patient there. So giving that one, if you don't have people actively checking it for you, I think once a week is good there. But I know those are a huge problem, but do not, waste your time and getting into Facebook group battles with other unhappy parents within the community. I think everyone is a little tired and burnt out from COVID-19 communications right now. And that is a trap you do not want to get yourself into. But it's also something that's really important because, as we know, people trust the opinions of a stranger or a peer just as much as they would trust that of a family member or a close friend. So if people are not recommending your school, or they're talking poorly about your school, or they're saying something bad about your school in one of those groups, it definitely needs to be addressed, but it definitely should not be addressed by your marketing and communications person. One final thing, which is not in regards to comments, but it's actually in regards to messages that you might be receiving. We're hearing from a lot of our schools and districts that just the influx of messages is out of control. People are asking questions both on the page and the inbox, and they just don't know how to manage it because there's just so much. So a couple ideas, and I think this is one of those things where we don't know what the right answer is because we're in a totally new time. We're in uncharted territories. Some schools might be seeing upwards of 100 messages a day. Some might be seeing just a couple. So one thing that Kristen and I thought could be fun, we'll put the fun in quotes here, is if you're getting a lot of the same questions, maybe to go on and kind of host, not a live Q&A, but post a recorded video of Q&A. So that people can kind of see that you're addressing the questions. It puts a face to it. You can do it with your head of school or maybe an academic director. If there's a lot of health questions, maybe with your nurse, or you can just do it as well. But do that Q&A, post it on your page and pin it there. On Instagram, you could make it a highlight reel or post it on IGTV. And then of course you could also post it on Twitter, link it back to your website, create a Q&A page there. So that could just be a piece of content that you share with your community. And what I like about that piece of content is it goes beyond social media. We can share it via email. It goes on our website, and you can make that initial video, and then you can use, a page on your website to just post questions as they come in, and you can address them there. If you're feeling brave, you could also do a live Q&A and let people know when that live Q&A will be. I know a lot of our schools and districts, I think there's definitely some fear around hosting a live Q&A because, like with negative comments, we don't always know what we're going to get. But it is a good way to engage your community and kind of a way to mitigate a lot of those repeat messages that might be coming in, just to host a live Q&A. Now you could, host one long Q&A, or you could opt to maybe host a weekly Q&A, or post something weekly, whatever that may be. But I think that if you have some type of FAQ document or FAQ page on your website, redirecting people who are sending you a lot of messages there can help save you some time. In that regard as well, kind of similar to Facebook comments, if you're able to enlist other administrators on your Facebook page in particular to help with messaging, that can be great. Within Facebook Messenger, you can assign messages to different people. So if you have some help from your athletics team or your admissions team, you can say, thanks so much for your message. I'm going to redirect this to Susan, who works on our admissions team. She'll get back to you as soon as possible. Remember, you are just the front lines. You are just the gatekeeper. You are not responsible for answering every single question, comment, or concern that comes in. That is what you have a team for. So that being said, in conclusion, I think we all know that no matter what, there is always going to be someone who's unhappy, someone who wants to share their opinion. And I think probably at one time or another, we've all been that person, whether it was for a delayed flight, a bad delivery, a late delivery, a package that never showed up. I think it's safe to say there's always going to be that person in your community who has something negative to say. And unfortunately, that's the truth. But we can't ignore that person, and we can't ignore their needs, their concerns, because for them, they're valid and they're totally real. And social media is their outlet. And in a time where we're not always seeing each other in person and we can't offer that same face-to-face interaction, that same face-to-face reassurance, social media is giving us a platform to do that. So whatever it is, positive, negative, indifferent, please don't ignore anyone. For some people, you might be their only like lifeline of communication into the school. So do your best to respond, set manageable and reasonable deadlines and time allocations for yourself. Do not stress out, take a deep breath, enjoy your cup of coffee or tea or wine while you respond to comments, whatever it may be. And just good luck out there. We know this is a very, very stressful time for our marketing and communications people. Like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and the last thing you feel like dealing with are the negative comments that come in. But by focusing on those positive comments that come in, you might just see more and more of them, especially if you're responding. So that being said, this is probably one of our most frequently asked questions that we've never actually taken the time to talk about it outside of like quickly answering in a webinar. So it was great to chat about this for probably much longer than was necessary, but we're hoping you guys feel inspired to tackle positivity and negativity on your social media channels. And next week, we're actually talking about another frequently asked question that we get is short forms. Like, why should we use short forms? I want to use my admissions SIS form. I want to ask for all that information up front. And times are changing and you can't do that anymore. So we are going to talk about why you need short forms, when you should use short forms, and just some general best practices for still getting those families in your admissions funnel and getting the information that you need from them. So I'm super passionate about that topic, almost as passionate as I am about social media comments. So very excited for next week. And then if you didn't catch it at the beginning, the School Marketing Show is a weekly show now. So you'll see you every Monday from now until the end of eternity on Mondays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.